when Mr. Iyasele Emoyon of Iduwale Ewu, Esa Central Local Government Area in Edo State, Nigeria, returned home at about 3 p.m. on 22nd May 2017, his wife was nowhere to be found and his lunch was not served. He was a little bit angry, but felt that his wife may have rushed to the market on her return from the farm to get some items for the household or has left for the meeting of her association. As he awaited her arrival, a woman, that is, a member of the Wives Association, came to inquire about his wife, complaining that they are yet to see her in their meeting. Emoyon, on hearing this, became agitated and suspicious. He quickly moved around the neighborhood, asking if anyone has seen his wife, but the last time anybody did was when they saw her leaving for the farm. Without waiting further, Mr. Emoyon rushed to the farm, and after much search, he found the lifeless body of his 60-year-old wife, Mrs. Martina Emoyon, a victim of persons suspected to be Fulani herdsmen.
I followed the other part. When I entered I want to go to the farm. I begin shouting name. Immediately I just read there. I come discover, say, that just behind the farm, small bush there. Come meet them for the ground. Then they cut down. Fulani people and cow people. Then they parade there. Then they come for the land. For that place. For the farm. Even cassava, corn, then they destroy everything for there. And now they go farm. No food again. Because I fear now, they don't go kill me by myself for the farm. To eat now is a problem to me. Nothing at all, no food, no nothing.
On that same day, in a neighboring community of Eku Ewu, about 1 kilometer from Iduwele Ewu, 82-year-old Madam Christiana Aliu Ikole's body was discovered on her farmland, gruesomely murdered by the same suspected herdsmen. The recent clash between farmers and herdsmen in Nigeria have been on the increase in the last 7 years, with different narratives being adduced as the reason for this vicious circle of attacks and counter-attacks. The situation has led to the death of thousands, with women, children, and the vulnerable recorded as the highest victims, while others are forced to flee their homes, resulting to one of the worst humanitarian crises in the country. The sudden surge in the last 7 years seems to have rejected all possible solutions thrown at it, leading to some analysts describing it as an attempt at imposing the Islamic religion on the country. Most of these analysts base their narratives on the inability of the government to arrest and prosecute those involved in what they described as crime against humanity. According to the Iyaza of Ewu, Chief Prince Francis Ubene, the death of these two women sent a shocking wave of fear around the ancient city of Ewu, as farmlands, schools, and other social activities were abandoned for fear of more attacks.
It was recently women started going to the farms again. The women, they were scared. Nobody goes to the farm. And even if people want to go to the farm, you must follow those people that have gone, either hunters and others. But the tension have calmed down now, and people can go to farm freely because the trauma have just started living the spirit and all of that. It was not an easy something. During that period, many farmers were complaining, like cassava, they were being destroyed. During the process of looking for grass, they will munch everything and all these things, and the people were no longer going to the farm for the fear that they may appear from nowhere. As people were not going to the farm, there was a bit there was starvation in the land, and more so there was a threat that they will invade schools. The outside Fulani, they send a threat that they are coming to invade school and they will kill children. So for 4 or 5 days, children were not going to school.
What seems to puzzle most analysts and citizens on the attacks by these herdsmen is the ease at which they carry out their crime and quickly move to other parts, beating even the security agencies. This inability of security agencies to check the violent attacks and killings created an impression that the attacks may have been orchestrated by top politicians for ethnic cleansing. As part of finding solution to the menace, a Nigerian lawmaker, Zainab Kure, sponsored a bill in the country's Senate aimed at securing areas across the country for mapping out grazing routes. But the bill did not get the nod in most states of the Federation, as their lawmakers could not convince their citizens to give blessings to the domestication of the bill in these states. According to available research, these conflicts are not unconnected with the impact of climate change in the northern part of the country. to address the growing challenge of climate change in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari made concerted effort at the international level when he addressed the United Nations on need to provide funds for regeneration of the Lake Chad Basin, as it will go a long way in tackling issues of climate change and desertification, especially in the northern part of the country. The president went further to sign the instrument of ratification of the Paris Agreement on climate change on 28 March 2017. According to the Chief Responsibility Officer, Jose Maria Escrivá Foundation, Comrade Jude Obasomi, most civil society organizations rejected the bill because the way it was packaged did not take into consideration the interests of host communities and farmers as well. Comrade Obasomi said Nigerian government should, as a matter of urgency, domesticate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) document to arrest the growing gap of inequality in the country. He maintained that inequality served as a major problem, stating that it was a major reason why the grazing bill by the National Assembly failed to receive the blessing of most states' houses of assemblies and the civil societies.
Recall recently that there was also this cattle grazing bill. I don't see the light of the day because one, the way it was structured, the way it was packaged, you don't actually cater for the interest of the farmers. You don't actually cater for those who are actually affected by the activity of this federal herdsmen. And for that reason, the bill was thrown out. Those don't believe that there will be clear-cut policies to regulate their behavior. Anybody that wants to rear animals, cattle, so to say, that person is free to go ahead and get his own private property and and keep your animals there. For example, if you're into fishery, government is not going to provide land for you to go and do your fishing. You have to get a pond, create an avenue, protect your fish from being attacked. So it's the same way. Those that are into animal husbandry, like cattle or whatever, they can also go ahead and get their own private property where they can go ahead and take care of their animal. Not to wait for government to create public ranches for them to go and keep the animal. That would not be fair at all.
Edo State Commander, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, the security agency saddled with the responsibility of mediating between farmers and herdsmen in the country, Mr. Ayinla Makinde, debunked the insinuation that there was an agenda to Islamize the country, stating that the manner migrating herdsmen operate is a challenge to security agencies. He pointed out that many factors are responsible for the increase in the attacks, noting that most pressing is the issue of the migrating herdsmen. On finding permanent and lasting solution to the menus, Mr. Makinde stated that until these movements are restricted, it will be difficult to conveniently arrest the activities of the herdsmen.
All over the country, the issue of herdsmen farmer class has been agreed. You cannot say country like history is not solving the same thing, and it's not a matter of religion. Therefore, anyone that is taking it is political or religious. That person is just assuming, it's an assumption. That has not been the truth. The fact that it is the Fulani who are more or less Muslims does not mean somebody is trying to Islamize or it has some political undertone. In the night while we are sleeping, they were coming down from one geographical location to the other. So when they enter the farmlands with the grace, before daybreak, they are come. They know how to become. Can we say that is Islamic? Can we say that is Christianity? Or is it a political leader that sent the cow to come and graze on somebody's land? Is out of it.
In 1990, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, noted that the greatest single impact of climate change might be on human migration, warning that it will displace millions of people. While Nigerian government, including the military, have constantly pointed out that the killer herdsmen are not the traditional peaceful Fulani herdsmen with their bow and arrow, they had constantly blamed it on migration occasioned by climate change affecting many lakes in Africa, mostly that of Lake Chad. Agreeing with Mr. Makinde, an environmentalist and director Health of Mother Earth Foundation, Mr. Nimo Basi, said it is sad that the United Nations system does not recognize climate refugees. Mr. Basi explained that because of droughts and the shrinking of the Lake Chad that had millions of farmers, pastoralists and fishermen that depend on the Lake Chad for their livelihood, there is surge in unemployment around the region. He pointed out that the surge in the conflict between farmers and herdsmen could be traced to the impact of climate change on the environment. According to West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adopted Land Use, the Lake Chad, which hitherto served as source of water for irrigation, fishing and other uses, providing livelihood for millions around the region, has lost over 90% of its water. According to available reports, the lake, which measured more than 25,000 square kilometers, that is 9,700 square miles, now covers just 1,500 square kilometers, that is 580 square miles. On way to avert the crisis, Mr. Bassey said real climate action is needed to address the spate of violence. To reverse this unfortunate situation, Mr. Bassey said it was time to build resilience by reducing inequality, as most people that suffer this impact are rural dwellers.
We have pastoralists whose grazing grounds have been depleted, who have been forced to move southward. And of course, we know the trail of the conflict between herdsmen and farmers across the nation. This can be traced. One of the reasons we have this conflict is because of displacement by global warming. And so if we take real climate action, we can help to reduce the spate of violence and conflict that we are seeing due to this phenomenon. And what can we do? Northern Nigeria does not have to be dry. It doesn't have to be as devoid of vegetation as it is now. We have pockets of forests and dense areas in the Sahel. This can be scaled up across the region. Our relationship to the environment has been so careless and so carefree. The way we degrade our environment has a big impact also on our well-being and our livelihood.
Policy makers in the country should design means of macroeconomic stability, strengthen institutions and business environment, and to also close the infrastructural gaps between rural dwellers and urban dwellers to discourage rural-urban migration. The desert encroachment in northern Nigeria should be given urgent attention. Nigerian government should also expand easy and quick access to financial services, especially to grow macro businesses targeting rural dwellers in agriculture. Easy access to quick and affordable healthcare, educational facilities, and skill acquisition for the children of the poor and the vulnerable. Perhaps the fight against corruption should also be all-inclusive, as implementation of policies cannot be successful in a country where contracts for projects are awarded based on nepotism rather than professionalism. As rightly observed by Mr. Bassey, our attitude towards the environment has been so careless and carefree, and if urgent steps are not taken to reverse the trend, Mother Nature naturally has a way of fighting back.